Welcome back to the Just Because podcast, a podcast about all things life and cosplay. I'm your boy Jeremy. I'm joined here by the wonderful Daniela. Danny, say hi.
Hello, it's
Okay,
me.
welcome back. Welcome back. We're here with another
Thank you.
exciting episode. Today, Danny, what are we talking about, Danny? What are we talking? What's the topic today?
Today we wanted to talk about professionalism in cosplay and also how you can open up opportunities for yourself if you wanted to grow even further as a cosplayer. It's fine if you don't, you want to just do it for fun, that's cool.
Mhm.
But for those who are curious about taking it up a step, we wanted to discuss some things.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get stuck into it, I just want to do another little self-plug for anyone, if you haven't heard about it yet. We released our Patreon very recently. So what our Patreon's all about, for anyone who doesn't know yet, we want pretty much as much of the cosplay community to come into one spot, to cheer each other on, to support each other, to get tips, to get some advice from more experienced cosplayers, or a few experienced guys out there who want to help out a young'un, then this is the place to do it.
Yes.
We're doing our best to put in as many tutorials and competitions and all that kind of good stuff in our Patreon. So if you like what we do, you want to support us a bit, or you just want to, have a chat with other cosplayers from around the world, please consider checking out our Patreon at the Just Because Cosplay Podcast, which you can find on Patreon or in the link down below. Okay, that's about as quick as I can make it. So let's get stuck into the good stuff. Danny, what's been your experience personally in working, let's say, professionally? And professionally can be working with brands or making money or just representing a company. What's your experience been so far in your journey?
It's been a lot of fun, first of all, but also it's very different to your usual 9-to-5 job, I find. Like the way businesses and bigger events work, it's not like, oh, I'm going to clock in at this time and oh, I'll be available this day and I'll work per hour. Like it's very different. So it definitely still takes some getting used to, in my opinion, and Byron has definitely helped me with that, and so have you, Jeremy. Like you've helped me a lot with that too. But it definitely takes a lot of changing how you think. But it has been fun. It's just a matter of not everything is going to go according to plan, and being prepared for when that happens and just being able to handle it, I guess, and just go with the flow. Some people find that a bit tricky, I find.
It is.
They get overwhelmed.
Because I think a lot of, for a lot of people either getting into the industry or thinking about getting into it, it's not like your traditional job, like you said. It's not a 9-to-5 thing where you work set hours a week. It is, you're working for yourself, you're representing yourself. So if you're thinking about doing cosplay either as a side thing or as a full-time thing, I think one big thing you'd have to realize or keep in mind is that you do become self-employed, you do become an entrepreneur, as they say, and you will have to put in the work to get the results. It's not going to come just by clocking in and clocking out, because that's not how it's really gonna work.
Yeah. And I've heard from others too, sometimes you won't get paid exactly when you expect to get paid too. I was like, oh,
some of the
something to be aware of.
Oh, it's like working for a crappy boss. It's like, oh, boss, you should have paid me. It's like, yeah, I'll get to it, but hopefully no one's had to do that. But that's part of the game, I suppose. Now, just in terms of cosplay, we've talked a little bit in the past already, just about in a previous episode where you and I have had a chat about just pursuing opportunities in general. But it can take on a very different face, because some people think, oh, what does being a professional cosplayer mean? It means, oh, you get invited to go to a con and appear there and sign autographs and sell prints, and that's what being a professional cosplayer is all about. But again, from your experiences, Danny, what else is involved in, if you're going to earn money or turn it into a career or even as a side hustle, what else is actually involved apart from just going to a con and signing autographs? Like, what else is involved?
So I want to quickly just say that I'm not like this intense big corporate cosplayer. I have just had a few little, professional gigs, and also I feel everyone has their own definition, like Jeremy said, of professional. Like there are some opportunities that a lot of us all get that I take professionally because I want to make a good impression. For example, when you might get accepted as a creator for a convention, I like to show my fun side, but also be professional because you're representing a company and you want to represent them well. So that's something I like to keep in mind. I actually read through everything they want from me. And even if they're not that strict about it, I still want to make sure I'm delivering everything they want. It's like making a good impression, especially so you can have better future opportunities. Like they remember that stuff. So that's one of the things in that regard. I keep thinking back to when we emceed for Smash. That was so much fun.
It was good.
But it was so good. And it was very it was pretty, because you did all the emailing. I feel like it was just a flow of emails back and forth discussing what we were going to be doing, what we were going to be paid, the times and where we needed to be. And then on the days when I feel like the work began and we actually started seeing what we were going to do. There's some things you can't really prepare for.
Yeah, there's some things you can't.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of the whole gig that we were contracted to do, really. It's like, look, there's going to be some things which we can't predict, and we trust that you guys have the skills to navigate those situations and come on board for that kind of thing. But
exactly.
That in particular was a fun challenge.
It was.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
But just with, cosplay, opportunities or careers and stuff, it can take the form of many different things apart from just signing autographs, right? Because you can do, you can do guest appearances, like how we have famous voice actors or actors come into local conventions. At some stage, that is a possibility for a cosplayer. You can work with brand deals. I've worked with Riot Games before. I've done some stuff with Logitech before. Those kinds of things were like one-off gigs. So it wasn't like, oh, we want you to appear at everything that we do for the next year. I wish I could get something like that at some stage, but that's also another possibility. This you can go another route, because I know someone like Maya, you can do commissions, you can make things. Someone like Illustrious as well, they do commissions for people. Some people do modeling, some people make their money through content creation. So there's a lot of different kind of avenues that you can go through, I suppose, to start making it into a career. But one thing that kind of comes as like a common occurrence for all of these things, please agree or disagree with me, Danny, would be social media and networking. And what I think is really important in this day and age if you kind of want to turn this thing into something more. So
100%.
With you, Danny, I know we kind of did a little bit together, and it's starting to ramp up a little bit more as time goes on, which is awesome because that's where we're focusing our stuff.
Yeah.
But let's talk someone who has no idea how to network, no idea what it's all about. What are some things that they should keep in mind if you're saying, okay, you say networking's important, great. Social media's important, great. Where the heck do I start? What would you say to someone like that?
Yeah, what does it mean? So how do I explain this? You want to show who you are. I feel like some people try to pretend to be something they're not, and then when they meet people in person, it doesn't translate. And then it's just, they have, I understand that we keep our, some people do, I don't really, but we keep our personal lives separate to our cosplay life. My name's everywhere. I don't keep my real name separate. And same with you, Jeremy. We just keep it there because that's, us. But some people like to keep it separate. That's fine. But I do feel like when you're showcasing yourself, it's good to be true to yourself and show who you are and what your interests are. I would treat your social media almost as like a personal blog. Just show what you enjoy, what you're doing. Because it can be overwhelming when you try to be this professional and you want it to get hundreds of likes and you want it to go viral. Just focus on just consistently showing who you are.
Being genuine.
Yes, being genuine. Exactly. That is super important. And same with in person. Jeremy's really good at talking about meeting people in person and networking in person because it is scary. And some people, you get anxious and you're like, what if they just are like, dare you talk to me, heathen, back from whence you came? But we all love the same thing, and I don't think I've had an experience where someone's told me to just go away. I've always had positive experiences.
You're very fortunate. You're very fortunate.
Yeah, I am. I do feel fortunate. I know some people have had bad experiences.
It's one of those things where, yeah, maybe I caught them on a bad day, or yeah, maybe they were halfway through XYZ. But at the same time, I've also been, running to a competition or something and say, oh, can I take a picture? Can we stop and chat? And it's never been too much of me to say, hey, look, I really appreciate it. Lovely to see you again. Just I'm in a rush at the moment.
Yeah,
I'll be free in about an hour, so let's catch up then. I'd love to take a picture. Something as simple as that. It makes all the difference. But
some people just can't handle stress very well. I think
we all definitely handle it differently.
Yeah,
but you make a good point in that the way that you present yourself is the way that you're going to be perceived. Maybe you've never even thought about it. In the early years of doing cosplay, go to a con, you're there for fun, there to make friends, just there to shop around, and that's all fine and good. There's nothing wrong with that. But, as you start to, you say, oh, I'm making more connections, I'm meeting more people, you will start to have a reputation, whether you know it or not. So people say, oh, did you meet Jeremy? Yeah, he's an okay dude. Yeah, he's a piece of crap. Like, people are going to, their experiences with you are going to, it's going to matter, right? And it's not saying you need to be on your best behavior all the time, because you never know which boss you're talking to or whatever. No, if someone's being a dick, you call them out. If someone is being a nasty person, you don't have anything to do with them. Because I personally, I'd rather miss an opportunity with someone who's a dick. It's like, yeah, I'm the boss of XYZ company. It's like, I would rather not represent your company because you suck.
100%. Yeah.
So,
I agree.
But it's like you said, with in-person networking, you might say, oh, I'm not very good at talking to people. I'm very introverted. I'm very socially anxious kind of thing. But, that's where we all start. Everyone kind of starts there. And we come to cons as a stomping ground. It's like, all right, I'm going to make friends. All right, made some friends. Let's go network with more friends. And so hopefully and ideally, you get better at talking to people over time. I mean, Danny, you've gotten great at talking to people over time.
Thank you. I need to, sometimes I don't stop.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's part of your brand. People love that side of you. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. So with, networking basics, you don't know where to start is number one, just start, talking to people. Start enjoying the act of the opportunity of meeting people and for no other purpose other than, hey, are you cool? Hey, you seem cool. Let's chat.
Yeah.
Right. It shouldn't be this thing of like, oh, you're Daniela Makes Things? Holy crap. I've heard that you've got like 30,000 followers. We should be friends and collab sometime so I can get some clout. Like,
that happens a lot.
It happens. Happens a bit too much for, I'm just this small fish in this pond, so hasn't really happened to me, but you're on the way up, you're growing, you're getting famous. So
I feel like sometimes it might have happened and we just didn't realize it because we like to see the good in people and but I definitely do feel what goes around comes around. Like whatever you're projecting is going to be projected back onto you. If you're going to project this nasty front, you're just going to receive nasty behavior.
Yeah. What you give is what you get.
Exactly. Yeah. Being genuine is the main point of this when you're representing yourself.
Yeah.
And the more you talk, like Jeremy said, with real people, the easier to get to reach out to, bigger corporate and cons and businesses. Even just, I feel like there's a lot of people who, for those out there who buy costumes, which I think most of us cosplayers do, reach out to who you're buying it from and ask to collaborate on a post. I've done that so many times and it helps a lot with gaining traction as well if you want to grow a presence. And also that's a small and good way to work with another company in a good way because, the more you work with them, the more little discounts they give you and then that helps you with buying more costumes and I think that's a good place to start. That's where I started. Doing collaborations with cosplay companies helps a lot.
It's not a bad place to start. It's not going to be the be-all, end-all. So you buy one costume from Easy Cosplay and you say, oh, I'm going to tag you and they say, oh, cool. Nice, excellent. It's not like, oh, we're going to offer you this contract to, we're going to send you all these free costumes and you display them, we'll pay you. Like, that's not how it works.
No,
right? And
I do with Easy a little bit, but not really.
Yeah.
It's only if they give you a discount code and you sell a certain amount through that discount code, then they give you free costumes.
Free costume, right? So you might say, okay, cool, it's a start. Well, Jeremy, how do I actually make money then? Where do I start? How do I do these collaborations, right? And a lot of it is, like I said, it's about networking. It's not as simple as you send one email to one company who will say, yes, we love you and we're going to pay you. That's not how it works. So the whole premise is, like Danny said, you start talking to people. You start just getting used to the act of hanging out with people and networking and meeting new people. Just the pure fun of meeting people and socializing, right? That's step one. Now, step two is like, okay, cool. I'm pretty good at talking to people. I'm pretty like sociable. I'm pretty chatty and witty.
I'm confident.
Confident.
Got this.
The next thing is to start talking to the right people. And like you said, one of the first things you can do is start reaching out to people by email. But Danny, just like you and I have done, what else have we done so we start going to conventions? Because as time goes on now, I'm not really going to conventions as much just to socialize or just to wear a new costume. We've started talking to specific people or more people. What kind of people should we start to talk to when we start going to, conventions or bigger conventions even? Like who should we be even looking out for, or what kind of people should we be trying to meet? Obviously, good vibes, good friends. That's what we're always after. But in terms of if you want to start to build your network or build your career, what kind of people would be good people to talk to?
It'd be good to see if you can find like-minded people, in the sense, people who also want to take their cosplay or business to the next level. Because I found the more I've surrounded myself with people who actually want to grow and network themselves better and, receive more opportunities, you just keep pulling each other up. And it's so good. And then you keep offering each other opportunities like, oh, I found out about this event going on. Do you want to come with?
Yeah.
And vice versa. So I think it's really important to start surrounding yourself with people like that. Not saying just throw away all your friends that don't do that. Like, I have a lot of friends, especially in cosplay, who are just happy to cosplay for fun.
Absolutely.
And I love creating reels with them, and I love chatting with them and talking cosplay. But when it comes to, opportunities, I will converse more thoroughly with those who also want to do the same thing. It doesn't necessarily mean go and approach every business you see at a con and sell yourself.
Yep.
I mean, you can do that.
You can.
But to me, it's like I feel like it's hard. I don't know how to explain be yourself, but also chase opportunity at the same time, because sometimes it's like, it's hard to differentiate between, are you just being opportunistic?
Yeah.
Or do you actually like this person?
That's an interesting thought, because I think one good thing you can think of just off the top of my head is like, okay, what's an IP that you like? What's a series that you like, Danny?
Oh, you mean like an anime?
Anime, game, movie franchise, like whatever. Just pick one, top of your head.
Oh,
what comes
Elden
to
Ring is what first came to mind.
Right, exactly. And what's the franchise that you don't really like in particular, for any reason? Any reason. No throwing games under the bus if you don't want to, but...
I just thought of something that's really popular that I don't really care about because I've never watched it. I never found interest in watching it. But Game of Thrones, I know people are going to hate me for saying Game of Thrones, but I ran into my mum watching one scene and there was two people doing the dirty and I was scarred and I was like, nope, this isn't the show for me. So I walked away. Like, too much.
I thought you were going to say something like, Call of Duty or like FIFA or...
I actually like Call of Duty.
Oh, wow. Okay.
FIFA,
okay.
Not really.
Right. Okay. So just for example, because this is more likely, say we go to a convention and there's two booths next to each other. One's Game of Thrones. The other one's Elden Ring. Which one are you going to run to first?
Oh, Elden Ring.
Elden Ring, 100%. Right. Without a doubt. And you'd be more interested in seeing, oh my God, Elden Ring booth. What's there? What are they promoting? What are they talking about? Who can I meet?
Yes.
Who are some other Elden Ring fans? Right?
Yep.
And that's all you're going to want to think about when you go to booths or stuff like that, right? But as you go through this is a good example, is the Final Fantasy booth I went to at PAX. Did you actually, I was at PAX with you.
Yeah, I didn't get to go. I'm so sad. I really wanted to, but I heard it was really good.
Yeah. And I mean, all we did really was play the Final Fantasy game, one very particular boss. And if you beat the boss, you get a hat. And I got the hat.
So cute.
The hat is like a light blue hat that said something like, I'd rather be eating tacos. It was so random, but I'm sure it's like
Yeah, I
any Final Fantasy fans like, Jeremy, this is what it is.
Yeah.
But I had no idea what it was about. But if there was like the Final Fantasy booth there, which I lined up with Keely so we could check it out, and we talked to people, and we talked to some of the people hosting it, saying, "Oh, this is the promotion here. This is what it's all about." But if there was that there and a League of Legends booth, I would have just gunned it for the League of Legends booth, right?
Me too. Yeah.
And you're like, Jeremy, what's the point of this? Okay, we like different IPs, we don't like different ones, right? The point here is, have a fun, engaging conversation with something that you're interested in or something that you genuinely like.
Yeah,
right?
That's such a good point.
And just for the sake of, wow, like this is something that you really enjoy. And if it so happens that you talk to someone at the booth or someone who's running the promotion, whatever it is, you can tell them a bit about yourself and exchange like, oh, this is what I do. I'm a cosplayer. I'm doing these kinds of things. And there may be some opportunities like, oh, well, at some stage, we might need a cosplayer who's going to do lead characters for this event.
Yes, that is so true.
So it's not just about, oh, let's go to every booth and see which booth has an opportunity for me to represent them, because
they'll be able to tell.
They'll be able to tell. They'll be able to smell it from a mile away.
Yeah, they know this stuff. And yeah, I agree. That's such a good point. Yeah, and also be honest. I've talked to so many people that lie about how good they are, I want to say.
Yeah.
Simply because they don't want people to know that they don't know something you're talking about. I don't know. There's like this shame of not understanding, not knowing, not being a fan of something, not creating something. It's like, no, just be honest.
Just be honest about it.
No, don't lie. Just be like, oh, I don't know, but tell me about it. Like, that's such a good way to start a conversation.
That's a great way. Oh, what are you wearing?
Yeah.
This. What's it about? I've got no idea, but you look amazing. Right? That's how we start conversations with cosplayers. Oh, Final Fantasy. I've got to be real with you, man. I have no idea how to play this game. I'm just here for the hat.
Yep.
Started a conversation with everyone. Like, oh my God, you should try this. Oh, did you want this free poster? Oh, do you want this? Like, I just got so much free stuff because I didn't know anything about it. So,
exactly.
I guess just adding on to that point too is because, say the Final Fantasy booth did need cosplayers. It's so easy for them to just jump on Instagram. It's like, oh, they look good. Let's grab this cosplayer, right? But they would be much more likely, say the League of Legends booth, say, oh, we need some cosplayers in Australia. But hey, I remember this one guy I talked to, name's Jeremy. He was like a really cool dude, and he does League of Legends cosplays. I'm going to hit him up first.
That's how it works.
That's how it works.
Simple.
It's so simple. So it's not about just, oh, I'm a cosplayer. I want to do work for you. Give me a job. Right?
It's very word of mouth.
It is. It's a lot of it. And that's the point of networking.
It's who you know.
It's who you know. And so the point of this is really just, I think the biggest point is, what value can you provide to XYZ company? Right?
100%. That is a big one. Why should they hire you?
Why should they hire you? What are you going to give them? Because in the same way, it's like, oh, what do you want from Riot Games, League of Legends? I want you to hire me. I want your money, blah, blah, blah. Oh, what can you give me? Because that's what they're going to be after.
Yeah.
Now,
exactly.
How's it actually worked for you so far, Danny, in terms of working for businesses and companies and stuff like that? Has there been times which they've reached out to you or you've reached out to them, or what's it kind of been like?
I have had a mix of both. I haven't had like a lot of big opportunities because I feel like I've only just started mid last year to now, actually focusing on reaching out to companies. But the ones that reach out to me are usually the cosplay ones.
Cool.
Whenever I tag them and I've cosplay. When I did Jury from Street Fighter, I tagged Easy Cosplay.
Yeah, nice.
And I didn't collaborate. They messaged me and were like, oh, please invite us as a collaborator. Like, we want to show your, like, the costume. We want to show it off.
Yeah, right.
And then because it did well, they then were like, oh, how do you feel about having a discount code? And, if you get this many people buy it, then you'll get a free costume. And I was like, oh, yeah, that'd be wonderful. And it's not a job per se, but it is like, if people do buy through my code, I do get a little something. I can fund my own costumes, which is awesome. And it felt really good. I was like, oh my God, I'm stepping up in the world. So those are the only times I usually tag whatever I've used in a costume too.
That's a good way of doing it, yeah.
Let's just say I got fabric from Spotlight, I'll tag Spotlight. If I got my paint from, I think they're called Jacquard,
Jacquard with a Q in it. I've seen those ones.
Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah. They're really good. I tagged them and both of them commented on my post. They were like, we love your work, and shared it to their story.
That's cool.
And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I usually just put the company I get things from for other people to help. But I started noticing that not only is it helping people, but the companies appreciate it too. So I'm like, okay, this is good. And I feel like the more you do that, the more they will start remembering you as well. This is just on the online scene.
Yeah. Absolutely.
In person has definitely just been from meeting people. Like with MCing, for example, I feel it was because you reached out, I believe. Oh, did they reach out to you?
Okay, so this is where it all started. All right, guys, this is the power of networking coming in. Okay, so
here we go.
Quite literally, with this Just Because podcast, what I wanted to do, like a lot of you know, is since I kind of did it by myself for a while, and same thing. I just messaged a bunch of different cosplayers saying, "Hey, do you want to do a podcast episode with me? Do you want to do this with me?" And along the line, somewhere I quite literally has reached out to Smash. I reached out to PAX. I reached out to Supernova. I've reached out to everyone. Most, like a lot of people just don't reply. And that's just part of the game because they've got things to do, right? But I was very fortunate that Smash messaged me back. They're like, hey, yeah, we'd love to do a podcast episode with you. That's great. And so cool. I got to do a little bit of cross-promotion with Smash via the podcast. Any of you listeners here who heard that episode, you would have known all about it. Because we announced, some guests that were coming along. We announced, some cool events that were happening. And God, I can't remember which episode it was, but an early one a while back that I did with we actually announced a giveaway. So anyone listening in, they comment something, and we did a giveaway. And so that's how we can help the con, or we cross-promote each other. And in essence, we got some cool content. I got to meet some cool people, and that was that. Excuse me. But on top of that, after we did the episode, they're like, "Oh, no, this sounds really cool. By the way, do you guys still do hosting and like MCing work?" I'm like, "Yeah, we still do that." It's like, "Oh, well, do you guys want to MC the cosplay comp? Because that you guys would be a good suit for it." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that sounds sick." So it's one of those things in which we didn't really ask for it. We didn't really seek it out. We were just like, "Oh, let's do this collab where we get to chat with each other. You're cool. I'm cool, then we can be cool together." And, I had no expectations. And so
cool.
From that, it's like, oh, we need an MC. Oh, we know a guy, right? And so in the same way, if, Danny goes around and says, hey, I'm this, cool, good-looking, really smart, amazing person who likes cosplaying from Elden Ring and League and Street Fighter and stuff, you can bet that the next time there's someone who she meets in her travels who happens to be a developer for Elden Ring, who's got a booth at the next PAX or something, they're like, hey, I know a cool Elden Ring cosplayer, right? And that's in essence what networking is, right? It's not you're looking to meet someone for the purpose of getting something from them. It's just hey, you meet cool people who does these cool things, and other people who do these cool things. Because in the same way, you might be like, oh, I need someone who could be a good social coach for my friend. You're like, yeah, I know a guy. Jeremy's good at that, right? And, maybe you have a really avid interest in quick Danny Pick series. In
solo leveling.
In solo leveling, right? You might be like, yeah, my friend Sam, she's like the biggest solo leveling fan I've ever seen, and she does this really cool cosplay. So, the next time, there's some solo leveling, it was like, yeah, we need some solo leveling cosplays to do this. Your selfish brain's going to be like, I want that opportunity. I don't know anything about solo leveling, so I'm going to apply for it. Or you could just be a boss and be like, hey, Sam, here's this really cool opportunity, which I think you'd be a really good fit for. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And that's
exactly right.
Networking. That's socializing. That's just having, good connections all around.
Yes. So it's frustrating. Like I can't talk about some opportunities yet.
No, of course.
But I have some, and it's strictly just because of meeting people that I've been offered these opportunities, and from attending certain events that have been advertised and reaching out and joining Discords and meeting people, and that's what's providing these opportunities for me. Yeah, sorry, interrupted you.
No, that's okay. That's the point of this podcast. We just interrupt each other. We get new information. It goes around like that. But
because you were on fire. You were cooking.
No, we're always cooking. The fire never stops with us. Okay. But you know, taking it apart from networking, a very important part is number 2 is your social media. Just make sure that, you know, it doesn't always have to be the tip of the cream of the crop, bestest content ever, but it just displays who you are as a person as well, because your personality is what's going to sell more than anything else. You know, your opportunities elsewhere, because there's a lot of wonderful cosplayers out there. There's a lot of really talented cosplayers out there. So, you know, you're going to have talent against talent, and the thing that's going to be the deciding factor at the end of the day is your personality and how much you know them.
Yeah.
So,
and consistently showing it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you seen this lady like not post for? It's been a long time. You post every day since I've known you, I think. So you've done really good.
I try my best. Though. I have my off weeks, but yeah, I try to post every day. It is hard though. I'm not going to lie. Byron hates it whenever I'm like, oh, I don't want to. I'm tired.
You're going to do it. It's like going to the gym. You're going to do it.
Post anything. Yeah, it's not, like, technically it isn't hard. I have so much footage I could post, but I'm like, oh, but that means I have to press the plus button and type in a hashtag.
Type in a hashtag. Oh, I don't want to do it. It's work.
I want to watch anime, play video games. But yeah, it is tricky, but once you get the flow going, it's really good.
I think just like anything, it's a habit, right?
Yes.
I think just like going to conventions and networking, it's so easy to either A, I'm not going to go to the con, but B, I'm going to go to the con and just hang out with my friend and not talk to anyone. And hope that I take these selfies and someone's going to notice. Like, that's also possible, but at the same time, you are making it so much harder for yourself, because it's so much easier just to, you know, have a chat with people, learn something, meet cool people, and just cool things will pop up, right?
Oh, yeah. Geek out together, now, talk about the costume.
You've already kind of glossed on, you know, reaching out to people and, you know, seeing what opportunities exist, Danny. But in our own personal experience as well, in terms of, you know, I've entered competitions before, we've both applied for different gigs before, and we've been turned down, or people just don't reply.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
been turned down a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I've probably been turned down more times than I've been accepted for things, right?
Yeah, but same, I think, yeah.
Oh, you think, well, I've been accepted more.
No, I can't remember because it's all very new. I know I've applied for a lot of things, especially with Nova and Oz Comic Con. I feel like I apply for all their things every year. They usually always reject me, but then there's other things that do accept me. And I think it's because I concentrate on that I forget about the things that are saying no.
Because like we are going to get turned down more times than we are going to be accepted, and we're going to fail at things in life more than we are going to succeed, and that's just life, right? Yeah. But if we ever, you know, if we get one no, if I applied for this one creator pass, Danny, and they turned me down, I'm never going to apply again because it hurt too much of my pride. Like,
some people do get like that.
It is, but, you know,
they don't handle rejection very well, which is understandable. I know it's hard to deal with at first.
But that is just part of a game in which people are, you know, it's all subjective based, right? Just because Danny doesn't like the way that, I don't know, I wear my red shirt on whatever today is, it doesn't mean that everyone's going to dislike my red shirt on a Wednesday, right?
Exactly. We all love your red shirt.
Oh, thanks. But in the same way, just because one convention or one group turns you down for whatever reason, it doesn't mean that you're a terrible cosplayer and you should never do it again.
Exactly.
You know? All we can really do is like, oh, well, that sucks. This opportunity wasn't for me. I'll find another opportunity, right?
Yeah.
But on top of that, you know, we can wait for opportunities. This is the next part I want to get into, right? We can wait for saying, I'm limited because I've only got this opportunity in my town, or there's only like these conventions that exist. And if they don't have anything, then I've got nothing. Well, then you can take Danny's suggestion, which is kind of what we talked about at the start. You can quite literally start reaching out or talking to brands. You can start talking to companies. You can start talking to, you know, convention booths that you see, and start that networking process there. Because
exactly,
at the end of the day, it's all about what value can you provide to somebody. right?
Yeah, so important. There's so many people who are like, oh, I hate this place because they're not going to pay me for an event and I didn't get accepted. And you
They
got to
suck.
really ask, why should they pay
Why
you?
should
I know
they?
that sounds really
Yeah.
sad, but like I feel like there are some things you need to do for free. Get your experience up, show that you provide value, and then you can actually start asking. I guess it really depends on the opportunity
It does
you're
depend on
being
the opportunity.
given as well.
Yeah.
But especially when you're starting out, there are a lot of things you're going to have to do for free. Like,
Well,
I know it sucks, but
it-
there are some things you will need to just do.
I will argue to a point I agree, but there's a point I disagree, which is there are some things I feel like we do those opportunities because they help us to grow.
Exactly.
Right? If the opportunity did not help us to grow, I probably wouldn't do it. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yep.
For example, I was to work as a booth babe for League of Legends, which I've done.
Yeah.
And it's like, cool. The opportunity was there because they also flew us out. They gave us
That's
gaming
cool.
gear. I didn't get a cent. I came back from that trip with less, but it was a great experience. I got to learn.
That
I got
is
to
really
meet people.
cool.
Yeah, that's the opportunity provided, right? But if the opportunity was like, oh, we'll give you like a free ticket and you have to stand at this booth for 8 hours and just greet new people who come to this con.
Yeah.
And it's like, that doesn't really benefit me
No.
in a way that, it's a fair exchange. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I agree.
So there's some things I will do because I think, yeah, that's a fair exchange or that's going to help me
Yes.
grow. But there are
Yeah.
some things like, you know what? Someone else can have that opportunity if they feel like it's worth it.
Exactly.
So-
Yeah. Yep. No, 100% agree. It's just things like if you get accepted as a creator, I know some people are curious if it's a paid thing. It's not a paid thing. I think maybe guests get paid,
Well,
but
look,
creators don't.
it depends. It depends on the situation and the event, right? Because say you got to be a cosplay guest somewhere, right? Great
Yeah.
experience, get to meet people, awesome. But at the
Yeah.
same time, you have to ask yourself, okay, what value am I actually providing this convention by being a guest? Am I
Yeah.
going to encourage more people to attend this event because I'm coming? Is my fan
Yeah.
base is full of diehard Danny fans that, they
Yeah.
I was never planning on going to this event, but I am now because my idol,
Yeah.
Daniela Makes Things, is going to be there.
Exactly.
so that's-
of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, that being said, never undervalue yourself, obviously. Like,
Of course.
ask for what you want to value yourself for and be stern on it. Like, everyone has their own way of marketing themselves,
Yep.
I should say. But the most important thing is this your first time getting an opportunity, and are you going to provide something that you feel requires you to be paid? If that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense, Jeremy?
We'll try one slightly. I think
How do I explain it?
I think it's a matter of knowing your worth in terms
Yeah,
of
that.
It doesn't matter if it's your first time or if it's your 50th time, right?
Yeah.
It's just the work or the opportunity that you've got given to you.
Yes.
Whatever you're going to be doing for that group, that company, that convention,
Yep.
is what you're doing worth what they're going to be giving you in return?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you.
And
I tried wording it and I'm like, that sounds really bad. Jeremy, help me.
you did a good job. You did a good job. But again, Danny, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
I think what Danny was trying to allude to is if you're going to be doing something for an event, let's say, for example, you're going to go to Jeremy's convention, okay? If you went to
Yes.
Jeremy's convention and I said, hey, you know what? You seem pretty cool. You should come along to my event. And you'd be like, I don't really want to come to the event. It's like, well, I'll tell you what, how about I let you in for free? All you got to do
Yeah.
is just share a couple times. Hey, I've gone to this event. Cool.
Yeah.
That's a fair exchange, right?
Yeah, that's what I was I agree.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to allude to. I know sometimes people think that should be paid for.
Yeah, and somebody's like,
but-
oh, Jeremy, I'll only go to your event if you pay me. And I'm like, I mean, I want you here, man, but, what benefit at that point in time is it going to be a fair
Yeah.
trade, right?
Yeah,
At that
and
point in
that's-
time, if
it
it's like,
depends.
oh, you know what I'm going to do for you, man? What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring along 10 of my friends and they're all going to pay and they're all going to want to go to this event and I will pre-sell those tickets for you. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. If you do that, then I'll pay, right? Then it's this value exchange, right? Yes. I think the biggest thing you have to ask at the end of the day is, am I providing value? And if the answer is yes, awesome. Now, is the value that you provide so good that you deserve to be paid, right?
Yeah. It sounds, I hate saying it too, because I'm like, oh, it feels so bad saying, do you deserve to be paid for your work? But like,
the question here is, what work are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I think
that's
showing
what
up,
we're trying to say.
I think just showing up to an event is questionable of if that's worthy of being paid for, right? If you're doing work for me, like if you're doing a panel, if you're hosting an event which requires, some really good MC improv expertise, those kinds of things, like, I definitely want to pay you for doing that. Or are you going to be a ticket salesman or standing at the door checking people's tickets as you come in? I'd pay you for that, right? That's work.
I would expect pay right? for that, 100%.
But if you're going to come to the event as an attendee and you want me to pay you for coming to the event
for free tickets,
it doesn't make any sense. Like like I said before, if you want to come to Jeremy's conventions, like, I don't know about that, man. Like, I don't know if that convention's for me. It's like, what if I give you free entry? Did you want to come? It's like, yeah, okay. Right. That to me makes sense, right?
I think it's good if you want to maybe be paid for something to figure out what maybe the con is lacking that you can provide and offer it.
Big one.
That's a good way.
That's a great one.
Do a lot of research on the con and they might need or require.
And if that's the case, this is probably a really good, I think this is a real gap in the market. If anyone's able to figure this out, we're giving you this hot info. If you see an event or you see a convention, you see a business even, this is how freelancers make their money, right? If you see let's start with a very easy example, okay? Say there is this car washing company, right? And you notice that their logo and their sign really sucks, right? But you're really good at making logos and signs. Yeah. It makes very common sense. Like, hey, bro, I noticed your sign is da-da-da. I'm actually a sign maker. These are examples of my work.
Yes.
Do you reckon that I can make a sign for you? Right? Very basic example. The gap in the market that I was talking about and that you actually mentioned before was, is this convention missing this that I reckon they could really benefit from? And if you're an expert in that field, send them a proposal. Like, hey, let's talk. What's that con in America that had like a ball pit? What was it?
Was it a furry con?
Like, I don't know what it was, but
with the ball pit, it was just like in the middle of the.
That was my God, the entertainment, Danny. That was the entertainment, right? But imagine if you're like, you know what, this con is missing? A really good ball pit. And hey, say you were a ball pit manufacturer, you'd be like, hey man, just thought
one of these.
Do you need one of these? I reckon we could work something out, right?
Ball pits, yeah.
In the same way, is what value can you as a cosplayer provide to either a convention or a company, right?
Yeah, I definitely think, like, I've seen some cosplayers not get paid and they're a guest and they're judging and they're emceeing and they're doing a panel. And I'm like,
if you're going to do that much work as a cosplayer, you should be paid.
Should be paid, yes.
Or if you're saying, oh, look, if you want me to come along to this convention and be a guest because I'm going to bring in more people because people are going to want to see me, you should be getting paid. That's something you should ask for.
100%. Because you have to fly there and accommodate too.
Exactly. Or they should be paying for it if they're going to take you as a guest.
Exactly.
Right.
Those are some things for sure.
Same thing. If you're like, oh, we want you to do a panel and we want you to MC this. If they ask you to do it, it's like, oh, I'm with you free entry. You ask yourself, is your free entry worth that amount of work? Because at some stage it shouldn't be. You should be, this is very specialist knowledge.
100%.
And you should be proposing these things. So it's like Danny said, know your worth. If you've got expertise in something, don't just give that away for free, especially as a cosplayer.
Yeah, agreed.
Now, as we're getting to the later stage of this conversation, Danny, as a cosplayer, what do you think, just from your experiences, what are some common values that a cosplayer has that they could offer to a company or a convention that you reckon this is worth making a proposal for, which you could potentially get paid for? What are some things that come to mind? I've got one thing in my head, but I want to ask you first.
Okay. So something a cosplayer could offer to a company that they might be lacking.
Yeah.
I feel like it's definitely easier if it's a smaller convention.
Yep.
For example, our podcast. I don't see podcasts a lot of cons, so you could, if you do podcasting, that'd be great. Or even panel ideas would be really cool. But you mean to be paid for?
Let's say to be paid for, because especially for, well, this is Australia that we're talking about. I know around the world it can be a bit different, but in Australia, if you host a panel, if you do a quiz show or something on stage, they will repay you in free tickets, which for the most part is somewhat reasonable because a ticket is what, $50 to $100, and
it's free marketing for
you, and you're doing like an hour of work. So that seems a somewhat fair exchange for the amount of work that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
But as a cosplayer, say you're not doing any panels, right? What other kind of things would you propose? I can just think of one thing really, which is why I think it's so hard to come up with something.
Yeah, I feel as a cosplayer, it's hard because I feel like some of these people already exist and they don't get paid for it, like the repair stations and stuff like that. The people who repair costumes, like that's a full weekend, all-day gig of customer service, basically,
it really
and
is.
fixing shit, and they don't get paid.
By the sound, by this stage, it should be something where you can see, hey, this is a service to the community which people really like, and I'm doing this out of my own time. I would love if you provided me a space and a booth for me to do this the whole weekend, and you pay me for it, I will gladly be there. Right?
Yeah. What do you have in mind? Maybe I'll think of something.
Yeah, that's okay. So the only thing I can really have in mind is for smaller companies, really. You will literally be a booth babe at that point in time, which is why it's the most common thing that you'll see at something like PAX or gaming conventions. It's like, hey, here's this video game. No one really knows about it, but we really want to promote it. And a very easy way to promote that is like, let's get one of our really cool characters, someone to cosplay it.
Yeah.
And they can help us.
How did I not think of that?
So as you can see, you're providing value to that company.
That is the most common one.
It's the most common one. So, say for example, there was a Valorant bloody tournament, convention, giveaway, and say, you know what? Hey, Riot Games, I'm a Valorant cosplayer. These are some example of my works. I would love to get involved in whatever marketing, whatever promotion you've got going. Let me know. Right, that's one way you can put yourself forward. But that's purely booth babe work. But I think this is where it's difficult for cosplayers. Like, what value are you going to provide? And I say there's a gap in the market because if you can figure this out, I think this is a really good avenue for cosplayers to actually start getting some traction in paid work and building their brand and that kind of thing, right? So because
it's so hard.
It is. And this is why, again, I'm a cosplayer. I'm not hating on any cosplayer whatsoever. But I think this is the hard part is what value do cosplayers provide? I know it's the heart and soul of a convention because people will go there. They love seeing the costumes, right? At the moment, we've got creator passes, and creator passes like, hey, cool, come, like, we'd love for you to come to our show. Like, here's have a free ticket to get in, right? I think that's a great start. I love
that.
But
we're getting there.
Apart from that, the question is still there. What value does a cosplayer provide to companies, businesses, industries? Right?
I know I thought of it. I didn't have time to do it, but what I wanted to do, I was going to do it for free. This is so silly, but I wanted to make a convention's mascot into a costume and wear it at the con.
Yep.
I thought that'd be cool. I think that'd be great advertising, especially for reels, be like, see the mascot sitting in random locations like at the mall or at the beach, or like, it'd be funny, it'd be great advertising. Again, that was something I had in mind.
No, that's great. I don't know if you've seen it, like Crunchyroll Expo, Madfest, and Animania.
They have their little girl.
They had their mascot, and I know a few friends who actually got to be the mascot for them. That was a paid gig.
That's so cool.
So that's something you can do, yeah. So if you are the mascot for a convention or the mascot for a company or a brand, if you want to dress up as the Michelin Man and advertise Michelin tires, like that's exactly what it is. But I I think the key here, like I said, these opportunities at the moment, they're growing, right? Because people want to see cosplayers here. They want to see the talent go somewhere. They want to see these competitions. Where are they coming from? So you could say, look, people say, yeah, go competitive. That's one way to do it. I've done competition before. The amount of work and time you put into a costume versus how much the potential prize is, to me, is not worth monetarily. So that's like your only way of making money is through competitions. Like, you got to find another way to branch out. That's my personal opinion on it.
100%. No, I agree for sure. Yeah, that's so interesting, huh? We need more things. I guess if you have outside of cosplay, if you're, good with events, and like you said, even if you're great with graphic design, marketing or events management, etc., you could easily reach out to a con and be like, these are my expertise. I think you could improve here, here, and here. Yeah. Would you like me to help?
That's a good thing is, like I said, like you mentioned before, finding the gap that you think either a company or a convention is missing. And if you've got the expertise to fill that, absolutely have a proposal. Here's actually, Danny, here's a thought. For any of you competitive cosplayers out there, you want to do something, you can, because we've got a community in every country. Australia's got a community. If there is something that you feel like you could organize, you can be like the cosplay organizer, ambassador, judge, whatever, and you feel like you could run that, make that proposition. Because you and I, Danny, we've both complained like, oh, this wasn't organized well, cosplayers were neglected, me. We can complain about all we want, but how many people are actually saying, hey, you know what? I could do a really good job. Give me the reins.
Yep.
Right. So
jump on that opportunity.
Those opportunities,
you see somewhere lacking.
And if you're like, I don't have the experience, want to try it out, check out Smash. Smash has always got some jobs going on there if you want.
Oh, yeah.
So, can clarify, we've worked with Smash before. Amazing to work with.
Yes.
Would recommend.
So good. Oh my gosh. They took great care of us.
They were really good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I actually ate at a con for once.
That was great.
We actually drank water and ate food.
Oh dear. Now that was fast. We're heading towards the end. We're heading towards the end of our discussion, Danny. How about that?
We could talk for ages, honestly.
This is a good topic too, just kind of thinking about brands or making those deals and networking. Just as a fun note, for anyone who is, let's do this in two parts. So let's say for someone who's thinking, like they're kind of new to cosplay, they're wanting to, start to figure out, okay, I want to take this serious once I get a bit better. What advice would you give them? And for someone who's been in the scene for a while, they're a very experienced cosplayer, haven't really figured out how to, get those opportunities. What's a piece of advice you'd give each party?
So for the newbies, I would definitely say, especially if you're lacking confidence, I feel like a lot of volunteer work and offering yourself would be great for building confidence because it's like practice and then it doesn't feel like there's high stakes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you're, for example, apply as a creator, you're not getting paid for it and at least there's no downside if you don't do a good job, if that makes sense. Like I've seen some people just post to their story and they're fine. They still get creator every year. But I think it's good practice. Like keep practicing.
When Danny says free, by the way, it's like, you're applying to get like a creator pass, like free entry, like a non-paid gig. You can still get benefits like a free entry ticket, but free being non-paid gig, not you do work for free and they give you a burger or something.
No. Yeah, I meant just things that don't have, there's less pressure, if that makes sense. I think that's a good way to start. Yeah, it's a good place to start. And if you want to be more professional and you're already confident, start reaching out to people. Just send the emails like Jeremy said. Talk to all the people that also want to grow. Start networking. Even look at what other people are doing that are successful.
And talk to them.
I've done that before.
And talk to them.
Ask them. Yeah, just say, how did you get this opportunity? What did you do? Just do it.
Again, it shouldn't be one of those things where you only talk to them because they've got this opportunity. Say I reached out to Mr. T, and Mr. T was like the most recent guest at the Jeremy Con. Like, Mr. T, we've never talked to before, ever, but how did you get that opportunity? He's not going to reply because you just want to take stuff. But say I met Mr. T, it's like, dude, you're a pretty cool dude. I don't know much about you, right? Blah, blah, blah. And then, weeks down the track, you're sharing memes and whatever. And then he's like, oh, I'm going to a concert. And by the way, just randomly, I saw you got this opportunity. How did that pop up? Right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure you have lots of mutuals too who have had opportunities. Just ask them.
Just ask them. But number one, if you have no mutuals, network first. Like, make some friends, talk to cool people, because the cosplay community as a whole, for the most part, is really wholesome and really supportive, and really kind to each other. There are unfortunately people who will gatekeep things here and there, but again, it's not going to serve them well in the long run. So
exactly,
be the good part where you just network, you talk to people, you have a good time, and the next time someone needs an Elden Ring cosplay, I'm like, hey, I know a girl, right? That's how you're gonna make it work. So.
Yes, just practice basically, and learn from each rejection, and learn from each mistake, and have a link tree set up and your bio set up. Like, start really working on your presence online and in person.
You know what's going to be a good episode for us, Danny?
Professional or not.
A good episode for us is if we start talking about how to optimize your social media for cosplay.
Oh, that would be so good.
That'd be a good one. Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. We'll do that in the future. You're going to have to tune in another week, guys, because we've run out of time for this one. But
much love. In conclusion, cosplayers definitely should be paid.
Should be paid, but
just so you know.
Have to make sure that you show the people who you want to give you, bring value. That's the biggest thing.
Yes. You have to bring value.
Before we tee off, just a little reminder, if you like our vibe, what we do, you want to get involved more, you want to meet more of the community, you want to network, consider joining our Patreon. It's at the Just Because Cosplay Podcast Patreon. You'll find that if you search Patreon, or if you just check the link in our bio, you'll find it right there. But otherwise, if you've come this far, thanks so much for tuning in. This was another wonderful chat, Danny. Thanks for joining me again today.
Thank you too, Jeremy. I always have a lot of fun chatting. I know we could talk for ages. It's so hard
to stop.
Yeah, it's really hard to stop.
Oh dear. Well, again, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Next week, yay! I'm doing like the wiggle fingers.
Wiggles. Fingers.
Fingers. No, those
fingers.
Fingers. Did they do this? Or did they do that?
This one. The thumb off.
One, right?
Yeah. But there's wiggle it.
Yeah, they're just like, no, I'm not going to make that joke.
No, not in this podcast.
No, not in this.
Anyway,
okay. Good
bye.
Times.
See ya.
Bye. See ya.